Welcome to Lesson 1. Today we are going to determine income from royalties, commissions, and piecework. You explored this a little bit last week when you did an assignment called Ways to Make Money. You created some generic expressions and then you filled in the blanks in order to determine how much money you might make in commissions or from piecework over time. So we're going to explore that a little bit deeper. We're going to look at how specifically we can calculate royalties and commissions using different percents. And then we're also going to look at calculating gross income based on piecework. So down here we have the United States, and it shows unemployment rates by state. And if you'll notice that there are certain states that are very high, and that's the red area, these states are 8 to almost 10% unemployment, which is very high. The orange state, which actually includes Colorado, ranges from 6 to about 8% in unemployment. The U.S. rate currently is 7.4%, and that's still pretty high. So if it's that difficult to find a job, sometimes it's creative for you to go off and find your own type of business and perhaps earn royalties or commissions or income from piecework. And that's what we're going to explore today. So let's first look at royalties. Let's look at some examples of people who might earn royalties. We have authors, people who write books. We have musicians when they produce a song. Oftentimes, like on American Idol, you can hear that key song on one of the commercials, and that musician is getting royalties every time that song is played. Alaska residents, they receive a royalty on oil production in their state. So if you are a resident of Alaska, you would receive a royalty every year. Photographers, anytime their picture is used, they may see a royalty come to them. Definitely inventors. And then if you make a video, let's say, and then that video is used somewhere, you could get a royalty. So these are some different, certainly not all, but some different examples of people who earn royalties. Let's look at an example problem using royalties. So let's talk about authors. So let's say you write a textbook. You will receive a 10% royalty that's based on sales. The textbook sells for $47.95, and because it's a textbook, a lot of schools are going to be purchasing it for their students, so 17,000 copies were sold to schools last year. And this could even include ebooks. Every time that an ebook is purchased, you might earn a royalty. So what you want to do is write an expression and then determine how much you will receive in royalties. So if you'd like to pause the video and try to write an expression first and then calculate this example, go ahead. Okay, so let's look at it together. We want to write an expression to determine how much you will receive in royalties. Well, if we're writing an expression, that means we don't know how many we sold. So this 17,000 is an unknown at this time. So if we want to say then that Y is going to be our total income, we can say that Y is going to be equal to, well, we know that each textbook sells for $47.95. So let's use that, $47.95. And we're going to make 10% of that. So whenever we write percents, we need to write them as their decimal equivalent. And then we need to multiply that by however many textbooks we actually sell. And that number is X. We don't know. And that would be a generic expression that you could use every year over and over again to determine how much money you're going to make from your textbook sales. Now in this example, we can plug in X because we know the problem told us that we sold 17,000. So if we take $47.95 times our 10% commission times 17,000, we will determine how much money that we are going to make from our textbook sales. So let's try that. We have $47.95 times 0.1 times 17,000, which gets us $81,515. Pretty good income. So in this case, receiving a royalty, you can continue to receive income. What you created continues to work for you, and you don't have to work any longer, and you'll continue to receive this. So if in the following year you sold more textbooks, you would receive more money. So that's a great way to earn income, is through royalties. Now let's go ahead and look at commissions. There are a lot of jobs that make commissions, but the most common one is probably sales. Anytime you're in sales, you're going to be making commissions. So here's an example. You're looking into a job selling cosmetics part-time. So for example, Mary Kay or Avon, and you will go door to door. You will be paid a monthly commission. You would receive 11% on your first $900 in sales and 17% on the balance of your sales. So this is one way that companies get you to try to sell more and more, because the more you sell, now you're earning a higher rate. You're earning 17% instead of just 11%. So this is very common in sales. What you earn is based on how much you sell, and that percent goes up. So last month, another salesperson sold $12.50 worth of cosmetics. We want to write an expression and then determine how much commission this other salesperson earned last month. So once again, we know we're going to start with Y, because Y is going to be our income, or in this case, our commissions. And we know that X is going to represent how many dollars that we sold. So X is going to be equal to, in this case, $12.50. However, we want to write a generic expression that we can use month after month. So this is a little more complicated, and we're going to assume that we always sell more than $900 in sales. If we were to sell less than $900, then we would use something called a piecewise function, which you'll explore next week. So assuming that we sell at least $900 in sales, we have our $900 that we are going to make 11% on that. So again, we write that as 0.11 plus anything over $900. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, well, whatever we sell is X minus the $900. And that will get us the amount that's over or greater than $900. And then on that amount, we will earn 17% or 0.17. So this expression will work every single month, of course, assuming that we sell more than $900 in sales. So let's go ahead and calculate. Let's plug in our X. So in this case, we know that we actually sold $12.50 worth of cosmetics. Okay, and here's our expression with the $12.50 replacing the X. Now we would want to go ahead and solve this. So I would want to know what 900 times 11% or 0.11 is, and that's $99. So I know that I'm going to make $99 plus whatever this difference is times 17%. So if I take $12.50 minus 900, I get 350. 350 times 17% and make a greater percent on anything over $900 means that I make $59.50. And if I add that to my 99, that means that this other salesperson made $158.50 commission from selling cosmetics last month. And that can give you an idea of what you need to sell in order to make the type of income that you need in a monthly basis. Okay, good. Let's look now at some piecework. And there's some different types of jobs that in which you earn piecework pay for, and we talked about that last week. But any type of artwork that you create, that you sell, you know, whether it's paintings or sculptures, or if you sew dresses, for example, you are going to earn a piecework rate. In this example, let's use farming. So farmers often employ people to harvest their agriculture. So in this case, we have strawberries, and here's Tony, and he picks strawberries, and he gets paid at a piecework rate of 45 cents per container for the first 200 containers. And then he receives 65 cents per container for every container over 200. So again, incentive for you to pick more because you're going to earn a higher rate on anything over 200. So last week, Tony picked 270 containers. We want to go ahead and write an expression that will work in any situation and then determine how much he earned. So once again, we're going to say that our X, our unknown, would be how much you pick. You don't know that you're going to pick 270 containers. And then also Y will represent our income from our piecework. So we'll start off and we'll assume that we always pick 200 containers. So let's say we have 200 containers are paid at 45 cents, and remember 45 cents is 0.45, plus we're going to get paid on anything over 200. So let's take 200. Actually, let's fix that a little bit. Let's start with the X. And let's see. So we have what we pick minus 200, because what we pick is greater than 200. And then we're going to multiply that by 65 cents. And that expression will work for every employee who picks more than 200. Now all we need to do is plug in how much we pick, and then we can solve. So we're going to go ahead and plug in the 270. Now we have our expression with the 270 plugged in. So we just need to put this in our calculator to figure out, in fact, how much Tony made from picking strawberries. So if we take our 200 times the 45 cents that he earned, he will make $90 on that first 200, plus this difference, 270 minus 200 is 70, and 70 times 65 cents, he makes a greater rate on anything over 200, is $45.50. So combining those together, we should get $135.50. So again, this expression only works if we assume that he picks more than 200. If he only picked 50, then this wouldn't make sense. We would have a negative number. So we have other ways to create formulas that account for any amount that you pick or that you produce, and those again are called piecewise functions, and it's really a combination of multiple expressions, and we'll explore that with Social Security and Medicare next week. So for this week, now you have looked at piecework, you have looked at commissions, and you have looked at royalties, and now you're going to try some practice problems on your own on the next page.